Guys, absolutely huge week for SteelSeries this week. They launched a bunch of new products, namely an all-new range of headsets and a desktop speaker set, including a 5.1 surround sound option. This is all brand spanking new, and your boy has got you a special discount, 12% with offer code SKILLUP. Click below to grab them before they sell out, or stick around to the end of the video to learn more. Gamers, what a week! Holy shit! Embracer Group now owns basically everything. The Destiny Showcase dropped, major content patches for Final Fantasy XIV, Genshin Impact, Guild Wars 2 is on Steam now. Austin made me say that. Gamescom Opening Night Live, and finally, they made a car for gamers. Believe me, we're going to come back to that one later in the episode. Plus, this week on the Friends Per Second podcast, we got to chat with Valve about how they built the Steam Deck and what they're planning next for it. That was such an awesome chat. It goes up on the channel this weekend. Don't miss it. This is a week so jam-packed, we don't have time for any more patter. Let's just get to it. Here comes an absolutely mammoth amount of gaming news. We should do Gamescom first, since that's the biggest piston in this week's hype machine. Gamescom Opening Night Live has been building in importance over the last few years, largely owing to Jeff Keighley using the event as a sort of mini E3, revealing all new titles and providing updates on stuff about to drop in the busy Q4 period. Opinions are mixed on how well this event landed, but personally, I loved it. It had heaps of cool shit that I want to play, and while there was perhaps a few too many CG reveal trailers, I think that there was also enough meaty gameplay to sink your teeth into. The show opened with something? So this is called Everywhere, and it's from one of the former bosses of Rockstar who got a bunch of money together and set up his own studio. It looks like Fortnite meets Rocket League, but then it does a hard cut to some more realistic, gritty looking thing that kind of makes you think Ready Player One, like these people are living out life in some dreamy metaverse while their real lives low-key suck and corporations are trying to kill them. That's a total guess, and I could be totally wrong about that because this trailer really doesn't make sense or explain anything, and even the developer interview after that didn't explain anything. I'm very much expecting this to be some sort of metaverse thing. I'm worried it's going to be blockchain or NFT driven. Even the logo they're running looks like some kind of token you'd see on some fintech trader site. I don't know, man, I'm not judging this one, but I definitely have my backup, and I will be watching this one with a fair amount of skepticism. There was a reveal for a new Dune game, or Dune. This was leaked some time ago, but this was the official confirmation. It was just a CG trailer that got people very hyped until they saw the words survival MMO, and given that this is from Funcom, a lot of people were kind of bummed out at that point. Nothing against Conan, by the way. Apparently it's pretty good, but this is a very grindy, very coarse gameplay experience that isn't for everyone, and I'm sure it would have received a far warmer reception if it were a single-player experience based on the seminal sci-fi literary work. Hey, here's something unexpected. We're getting a new PS5 controller. It's called the DualSense Edge. The DualSense Edge has back paddles, toggles for trigger travel distance, god that was fun to say, changeable analog sticks, but most importantly, replaceable analog stick mechanisms, meaning that if you ever do get stick drift, and don't we all, you can just buy a replacement stick unit thing. It would be nice if we never had to worry about stick drift at all, but hey, we're only human. Things happen. You know, it's just... that's just what happens sometimes. Sometimes you just get tired and then you stick... Anyway, no word yet on the release date or pricing of the Edge, but I do wonder if it'll drop in November. Feels like a nice bundle purchase with Ragnarok. We got some more gameplay for the Callisto Protocol. That continues to look awesome, and now it features a super fun water slide. Lords of the Fallen 2 was revealed, and it has a totally great, very easy to understand name that won't make things hard for it in the marketing cycle. It's called The Lords of the Fallen. Sure, good luck with that when it comes to SEO, my friends. Having said that, the art design does look pretty cool, so I'm into it. We've got a really big chunk of Hogwarts Legacy gameplay. This continues to look excellent and a hell of a lot darker than I think anyone was expecting. Probably a good thing, given that a big chunk of the Harry Potter audience are all now grown-ass adults. This one is still slated for February next year, and it's probably going to be huge. A new Tales from the Borderlands was announced some time ago, and at Gamescom we got our first batch of gameplay. Let's take a look.
We're bad at this, like really bad.
Gidio has many guns, talking guns, guns with legs.
I'm gonna blast you so freaking fast! Yeah! Shut up, Richard!
The first Tales from the Borderlands was an absolutely excellent title with some of the tightest video game writing in any video game, I think. Just full stop. It was brilliantly written, which you wouldn't believe given the franchise it's attached to, but I assure you it's true. That one was made by Telltale though, while this one is being developed by Gearbox themselves. They came to have brought over a number of writers from the original project, so hopefully it does reach the high bar set by the previous title, but that is a very high bar indeed. And something about this trailer just feels a little off. I don't know. I'm keeping an open mind and looking forward to checking it out when it arrives on all platforms October 21st. We got a new Sonic Frontiers trailer. It's definitely looking better than before, but I still am not sure about this one. All that open world stuff still looks very rough to me. They did lock in a release date though, and I cannot believe it. November 8th, the same day as God of War. It's like Sega are trying to bury this thing by releasing it on the same day of what is arguably the second biggest game this year behind Elden Ring. I cannot for the life of me understand this logic, but best of luck, my speedy blue friend. You are going to need it. Goat Simulator 3 gameplay looks absolutely ridiculous in the best possible way. Can't wait for that. Monkey Island got a new trailer and a release date, September 19th for the PC and Switch. They also cheekily announced the inclusion of a special pre-order bonus, Horse Armor, which they clarified does absolutely nothing other than sit in your inventory. Take that, Todd. Unknown Worlds are the team behind Subnautica, and it was revealed a while back that their next big title wouldn't be Subnautica 2, but would rather be a turn-based strategy title, a new genre for the studio. Quite unexpected, but even within that context, I don't think anyone could have seen this coming.
Let us keep this civilized.
Welcome to the party. Till the end.
This is Moonbreaker. It's essentially a digital tabletop game set in a new universe created by author Brandon Sanderson, most known for his work on the Mistborn series and his contribution to finishing the Wheel of Time series. This game is looking bold. It's a really out there premise, a very garish art style, and the appeal of being able to paint your own miniatures is nice, but it's a very niche value proposition. I'm interested in this for sure. I support this team and what they're doing. I just hope this one finds the cut through it needs. Good news though is that if you want to check it out for yourself, you won't have to wait long, as it will enter early access on September 29th. Lies of P is the Bloodborne sequel we're probably never going to get. It's looking absolutely awesome. Just take a look at some of this gameplay.
Don't give up.
Keep
Fantastic stuff. It's Bloodborne if it starred Timothée Chalamet. No date yet, but it's hitting sometime next year, and it's coming to Game Pass actually. Atlas Fallen definitely caught my eye, not only because it's another sand-based adventure in the increasingly crowded sand-based subgenre, Anakin's not loving this new trend, but this is a new offering from the same studio behind The Surge, and I love The Surge, 1 and 2. They were great games, this is looking hella interesting, and at this point, I trust this studio to make something cool. High on Life got a gameplay trailer, and it probably shouldn't have, because this was not a great trailer. The dialogue was funny, but the gameplay was not.
Wow, we're actually hitting her! Holy crap, that was cool!
There was also a talking knife who was Australian, and to the game's credit, I really feel like they properly captured both the Australian accent and vernacular.
I'll slice them to fucking death. I'll cut their fucking heads off. I'll rip their limbs. I'll fucking do everything. Oh, I'm gonna fucking cut right into them.
High on Life did get a delay this week, by the way. It was meant to ship October, but will now ship December 13th, making it the last big release of the year. Hopefully the final product plays better than this little snippet here did. We've got a really good look at the Expanse game coming from resurrected Telltale. Turns out this one is being led by Cara G, the actress who plays Drummer in the TV show, and she is literally my favorite character, so I am so hyped to see this. No specific date, but they have confirmed this is hitting Northern Summer next year. A few quick things to round out the showcase. The new Gotham Knights trailer looks pretty good. This game is really losing the PR battle at this point, but I'm still hoping they manage to pull a bat out of the hat. Where Winds Meet looks basically like Chinese Ghost of Tsushima if it ran at 15 FPS. No, I don't know about that one. The new Warhammer 40k Darktide trailer looked absolutely awesome, and I'm off the charts pumped for this. And the Outlast Trials looks very scary, and I don't think I have the stomach for this one. Two final announcements. I have saved the best for last. Firstly, Dead Island 2 exists, and it's coming soon-ish. This is a game that was announced in 2014 and since then has had 3 different studios take ownership of the project, a truly cursed development pathway the likes of which I haven't seen before. Leaked earlier this week but confirmed at the back end of Jeff's Trailerama, Dead Island 2 is confirmed to be launching on all platforms but the Switch on February 3rd, 2023. They showed off a very slick cinematic trailer as well as some actual gameplay, plus select outlets did get to go hands-on with the title and they had nothing but positive things to say. It's hard to believe that it's finally happening, but it's here and it's looking pretty fun. February is already looking ominous with this and Hogwarts Legacy and Destiny 2 Lightfall. Game publishers, February is officially full. Don't release any more games then, please and thank you. The biggest announcement of the entire showcase though was one from Jeff Keighley's very good friend, Hideo Kojima, who after years of speculation revealed the thing he has been working on as a follow-up to Metal Gear and Zone of Enders and Death Stranding. His announcement did not disappoint.
この度9月から、僕のポッドキャスト番組を Spotify で
Podcast? That's lame. Imagine having a podcast. Cringe. Alright, I won't lie, I'm salty. I never would have expected I'd be going into direct competition with Hideo Kojima, but here we are. He is now my sworn enemy, and we will now do battle in the ruthless world of podcast ratings. Don't worry though, I know all his moves. All I gotta do to beat him is plug my controller into the Play It 2 port. Then he'll be bamboozled, and my victory will be assured. Jokes aside, I'm extremely excited for this, and I'm gonna be fiending every episode. God damn you, Kojima, you win again.
Whoa.
As exciting as Jeff's hoedown was, and as big a week as it is for video game news, I gotta be real with you and say that the thing that really got my juices flowing was that Destiny 2 showcase. Hot damn. Now I know everyone hates Destiny, I'm aware, and I'm also aware that it's fun to dunk on Destiny. Believe me when I tell you that few people know the joy of that better than myself. But for a brief moment, we're going to put aside the regular glib, feigned nonchalance, and I'm just going to nerd out about how excited I am about all of this. I mean, look at this fucking expansion setting. Lightfall is basically like if you combine Destiny with Far Cry Blood Dragon, literally 2 of my favorite things. People are like, oh, this is cyberpunk. This is not fucking cyberpunk. Just because it has the color purple does not make it cyberpunk. This is neon sci-fi. It's synthwave. It's the 80s, baby. Sweet dreams are made of this. God, it is so awesome. Plus, we get this new subclass, Strand. Destiny is officially a Strand-type game. Not only has Kojima invaded my podcast safe space, he's now shoulder-charging his way into my Destiny addiction. I'll allow it, nothing's gonna get me down today. The new subclass is based on psychic energy and allows you to become Spider-Man, since you can now grapple around wherever the fuck you please. It's going to be hard for other subclasses to compete with that. The showcase also revealed Season of Plunder, which launched this week. RIP Skull and Bones, I guess. Geez, that game just can't catch a break, can it? Critically, Bungie announced a number of improvements coming to the core game when Lightfall arrives, namely a sorely needed overhaul of the new player experience, a loadout system, and a much requested feature, an in-game looking for group finder. Best of all, Bungie have announced that they are abandoning their ruinous policy of sunsetting previous expansion content. They won't bring back anything that's already been sunset, so Destiny 2's launch campaign and Forsaken, but other expansions stay, as will all other future expansions. That is a huge win, not only for protecting people's purchases, but also for protecting Destiny's history and lore. Also, they added Destiny to Fortnite, and they recreated a Destiny PvP map in Fortnite. And I'm ashamed to say that I played it. It wasn't very good, but it was funny. So that's Destiny 2 right now. Lightfall launches February 28th next year, followed by the Final Shape expansion in 2024. And with all that excitement out of the way, I can now go back to pretending like I hate Destiny so I can fit in and people won't make fun of me. Alright, that's all the hype stuff done. What say we dig into that big, fat, juicy Embracer deal that went down last week? Just as the show went to air, of course, typical, it happens every time. So what's the deal? Swedish-based Embracer Group have been going on a buying spree this past 18 months. Headline purchases include Gearbox, which they bought last year, while this year they snapped up Square Enix's Western operations and a boatload of solid gold IP, and they got it for an absolute steal. Just a few $100 million owing to the fact that Square Enix were keen to exit the Western market so they could focus more on Final Fantasy and NFTs. So all went quiet after that, but this week in an earnings call, Embracer announced that it had spent a further $750 million on acquisitions, and they are wild. So first up, they bought Tripwire, makers of The Killing Floor, but more importantly, Game of the Generation Maneater, hell yeah. They bought Tuxedo Labs, who just released the incredible Teardown. That is literally the 4th highest rated game of 2022 on Steam at the moment. They bought Singstrix, who are a little known company that make music games and karaoke machine stuff. They bought Limited Run Games, who focus on physical releases of indie games that wouldn't otherwise get them, as well as emulation of older retro titles. They bought a studio in Japan that makes arcade games, and they bought another Western studio that focuses on retro titles, and they also bought something else, but they won't tell us what it is yet because it's commercially sensitive, but it's meant to be a pretty big purchase as well. The other thing they bought, and this is the craziest of all, is that they bought the IP rights to The Lord of the Rings. The book publishing rights are still with HarperCollins, but everything else, films, TV shows, board games, video games, merchandise, you name it, that is now the property of Embracer Group. One company to bring them all, and in the stock market bind them. In announcing this acquisition, they did flag the potential for future movies based on Lord of the Rings characters like Aragorn and Galadriel. That is concerning. I don't want an Aragorn origin story penned by some 23-year-old coked up Hollywood type. There's no way that doesn't end terribly. Like, Saints Row dialogue meets Lord of the Rings, I can see it now. Still, it's just weird to know that one of the greatest works of fiction ever is now essentially a video game property. Or at least the property of a video game company. It just goes to show how powerful the video games industry has become, as this is the sort of IP I would have thought would go to an entertainment conglomerate like Disney or Warner. For what it's worth, I do think Embracer are talking the right talk. Just this week, the CEO took a sideswipe at NFTs, basically labeling them garbage, so much respect for that. The big companies gobbling up lots of IP and centralizing the industry further generally isn't a great trend, though it does seem largely inevitable at this point given the pace of things. Regardless, Embracer are clearly nowhere near finished, so I expect we'll hear more about the other purchase or purchases very soon. A quick lightning round to finish up the news block. Apparently, Ubisoft are making a Blade game. Oops, no they're not. People just got overexcited and started making shit up. Sad times, because a Blade game would have actually been really cool. The PSVR 2 has officially been confirmed for a 2023 release. That's according to tweets from official PlayStation Twitter accounts, so that's nice. Multiverses just hit 20 million players within its first month of launch. That's impressive, but it is a free-to-play title. You know what's more impressive? Elden Ring has officially sold nearly 17 million copies, which is well and truly more than the entire Dark Souls trilogy combined. But still only like 10% of what GTA 5 has sold. Speaking of which, mark your calendars because the Game Awards has a date, December 8th. Jeff Keighley will be there in the flesh to hand Elden Ring the Game of the Year award, and the award for every other category, probably including Best Indie Title, Best Shooter, since you can main a bow, and Best Gaming Influencer for Let Me Solo Her. That guy definitely deserves the W. Congrats. So outside of all the Gamescom stuff, what got announced or delayed this week? Well, first up, Kena Bridge of Spirits is on its way to Steam. This title had to this point been exclusive to the PlayStation and the Epic Games Store, and while there's still no word on an Xbox release, the title will hit Gaben's storefront on the 27th. This release coincides with an anniversary update for all platforms that adds quite a bit of stuff. New Game Plus, new abilities for Kena, a new Charmstone system that allows you to augment certain combat abilities, and plenty more. A really nice excuse to replay this game, but also a nice sweetener for the Steam bros stepping in for the first time. Enjoy yourself, this game really is fantastic. Slime Rancher 2 got a release date this week. The sequel to the much loved and very successful Slime Wrangling original has been on people's radar since it was announced mid last year. Now the game is locked for a September 22nd release, arriving for both PC and Xbox, where it will be a day one Game Pass release. One title that I'm moderately excited for is Ghostbusters Spirit Unleashed, which is one of those asymmetrical PvP games where you get to play as either Ghostbusters or the Ghost. It's from the same team behind the recent Friday the 13th game, so they have some experience in this kind of game. It got a release date this week, October 18th, arriving for PlayStation, Xbox, and exclusive to the Epic Games Store for PC. We're getting a Tintin game, apparently. I love that, because Tintin was my jam growing up, the books and the cartoons, but I do wonder how Tintin's doing these days. Do kids still know that Tintin exists? Either way, Tintin reporter Cigars of the Pharaoh is hitting all platforms sometime in 2023. So what came out last week? Well, Rollerdrome hit, but I already discussed that in the last episode. TLDR, it's fucking awesome. Everyone loves it. You should buy it and play it, and then thank me later. It's that good. Way of the Hunter is a hunting simulator. It's met middling reviews from both Steam users and critics. Steam has it at 71%, mostly positive, while critics were less impressed, putting it at a weak 65 on OpenCritic. Gaming Nexus had a good write-up write-up for it, scoring it a 7 out of 10 and saying, quote, crushingly difficult, glacially paced, graphically challenged, and yet there is something hypnotic and impressive about the scope of Way of the Hunter and its devotion to maintaining a realistic hunting experience for better or for worse. Go into this one expecting realism, and I mean real-life, semi-boring realism, and you will be in the right frame of mind, end quote. Kirby's Dream Buffet didn't get much marketing push from Nintendo. Feels like it's coming in under the radar, especially given the recent success of Kirby and the Forgotten Land earlier this year. Perhaps the reason for this radio silence is that Kirby's Dream Buffet isn't all that good, at least not according to critics. The game is sitting at a weak 63 on OpenCritic. Metro Central didn't love it, scoring it a 5 out of 10 and saying, quote, a bit sickly, even for those with an excessively sweet tooth. This low-rent Kirby spin-off is a poor follow-up to the Forgotten Land and has nowhere near the longevity of Fall Guys, end quote. Curse to Golf is a delightful little title that is delighting everyone because it's delightfully delightful. I'm not sure why I'm so hung up on that word when it comes to Curse to Golf, but it really just fits. I have been playing this in my spare time on the Steam Deck and loving it. It's simple and clever and funny and wholesome and perfect on a handheld device. Good news, it's also out on the Switch. Reviews for this one have come in fairly strong, hitting 79 on both Steam user scores and on OpenCritic. GameSpot were all about this one, scoring it a rare 9 out of 10 and saying, quote, Curse to Golf is a brilliant golf game that plays like a wildly experimental precision platformer, end quote. While Metro Game Central were a little more measured, scoring it a 7 and saying, quote, a polished, witty mix of golf sim, platformer, and roguelike that offers sterling value for money, but can't quite overcome an increasing sense of repetition, end quote. Thymesia is another one we talked about last week. TLDR on that one is that it's fine, its combat is good, but the rest of the package is pretty thrifty. If you are someone that must play every Soulsborne out there, then this is another one for you, but otherwise this likely isn't an essential purchase. And finally we have We Are OFK, the angsty visual novel about a band of young people doing things that young people do while they're in a band. Apparently it's pretty good. Critics have this at a strong 75 on OpenCritic. Destructoid scored it an 8.5 saying, quote, impressive efforts with a few noticeable problems holding them back. Won't astound everyone, but it's worth your time and cash, end quote. Alright, so that was the week that was. What about the week that is? That makes sense, right? Dropping this week, we have Midnight Fight Express, the John Wick-inspired beat-em-up that is the work of a solo dev. It dropped yesterday for all platforms. I played this one a while back, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't aiming to be a hugely complex, sprawling title, just a focused brawler, and it seems to have delivered on that, since reviews are already in, and they are pretty good. It's sitting at a 77 on OpenCritic. God as a Geek scored it an 8 out of 10, saying, quote, addictive gameplay challenges and a smorgasbord of enemies, game mechanics, and locations make Midnight Fight Express a superb indie brawler, end quote. One thing to note about this one is that it is on Game Pass, so if you want to give it a crack, that's a cheap way to do it. Alright, time to do this one. Are we ready? Here we go. Saints Row. Alright, so it's been a long time since I've reviewed a game this bad. I think the last one was Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance. I definitely don't think it's as bad as that, nowhere near it in fact, but I do think that Saints Row is very bad, and I absolutely do not recommend it. My review is linked below the like button if you want a full rundown. But the long and the short of it is that it's just very outdated, both in terms of its visuals and its gameplay. Its open world feels lifeless, it's rife with bugs, and the writing is horrifically bad. You might be able to improve many parts of this game with patches and updates, but you can't fix this writing. It is terminal. I'm absolutely not alone in this perspective. Saints Row is currently sitting at 67 on OpenCritic, making it one of the lowest AAA releases in a hot minute. I can't actually remember the last time a major release scored that low, to be honest. PC Gamer scored it a 60, saying, quote, the knockabout glee of classic Saints Row ultraviolence is here, but held back a little by newfound restraint, end quote. IGN went below that sacred 7 waterline, scoring it a 6 and saying, quote, Saints Row delivers no shortage of shallow shoot-em-up thrills, but it's a very familiar and uninspired brand of sandbox fun, end quote. And Metro Game Central scored it a 4, which is kind of where I'd put it. They said, quote, a tragically outdated open world adventure that almost has more in common with Goat Simulator than Grand Theft Auto, despite some moderately entertaining mechanics, end quote. A really disappointing outing for Volition that kind of makes you think that Saints Row is finished. I just can't see them making another Saints Row after this. which is a sad and ignoble end for a once great franchise. Beyond that, this week also sees the release of Pac-Man Repack, a remaster of a PS1 era platformer. Not too much to say about that one other than it's releasing on all platforms on the 26th. Finally, Soul Hackers 2 hits this week. This is the next big thing from Persona maker Atlus, only it may not end up being all that big owing to some fairly mid reviews that hit a few days back. The title is sitting at a strong 75 on OpenCritic, which is by no means a terrible score, but with a studio like Atlus, the bar is very high indeed, and this doesn't appear to come close to that. Reviews point to a title that is a fairly paint-by-numbers JRPG experience with some especially dull dungeon design. IGN scored this one a 7 out of 10, saying, quote, Soul Hackers 2 is an entertaining Atlus JRPG, if also one that doesn't do much to stand out, end quote. Hey, put this on your radar. I found this the other day on Twitter, and the strapline was World War I survival horror, and I was immediately like, yeah, that's exactly what World War I was. Surviving amidst horror. It really made me realize that for all the zombie apocalypses and abandoned space stations and dinosaur parks, we haven't had a survival horror experience set in the most horrific context that humans might ever actually endure. So this is Conscript. It's set in 1916 at the Battle of Verdun, and a lone French soldier has to navigate the trenches and beyond, contesting with both his enemies and the overall chaos around him. The reliance on trenches feels tailor-made for a horror experience, since it sets up so many blind corners and CQC engagements, and the cries of broken men wafting through the air mirror the groans of zombies or aliens we might hear in comparable experiences. It's just such a compelling premise that this immediately went straight onto my radar. If you'd like to put it on yours, then I'll leave a link to it on my Steam Curator page, which also has links to all of the other Put This On Your Radar stuff I've recently profiled. I'll leave a link to that below the like button. Sort of free stuff time now, and it's a very big week on the Epic Games Store, let me tell you. First up, Doom 64 is available. Bethesda are making a big push with some of their back catalog right now, with most of the benefits flowing to PC Game Pass, but Epic did get this little smattering as well. Rumbleverse launched last week, free to play on the Epic Store, and you can also get yourself some in-game items for that. Getting quick for both of those though, as in the next few hours they'll be replaced by Ring of Pain, which is a creepy looking roguelike deck builder thing. The big ticket item on the Epic Games Store this week though is Destiny 2, which arrives on the storefront for the first time. There is the free-to-play option if that's your thing, but as an added bonus, they're giving away the Bungie 30th Anniversary Pack, which gives you access to new activities, a raid, and it gives you the Gjallarhorn, which is still basically the best weapon in Destiny 8 years on. A very good excuse to grab the game and check out what's up. Grab it this week since it will disappear on August 31st. As impressive as Epic is this week, it's got absolutely nothing on Game Pass, which is having a downright barn burner. All bangers all the time. Last week we spoke about their monthly refresh, including stuff like Immortal Phoenix Rising, Midnight Fight Express, Opus Star Song, and the upcoming indie heavyweight Immortality, the next big thing from Her Story maker Sam Barlow. This week though, we got some more stuff. That Bethesda back catalog I mentioned earlier, some old Elder Scrolls titles, Quake 4, Wolfenstein 3D, and a personal favorite, Return to Castle Wolfenstein. They're all now available on PC Game Pass. Return to Castle Wolfenstein, dude, that was incredible back in the day. One of the all-time great class-based shooters, so ahead of its time if you look at where the landscape went after that. Fantastic title, and I hope it finds a whole new audience here thanks to this Game Pass re-release. The big, huge, gigantic surprise though is that Death Stranding is now available on PC Game Pass. This was teased by Xbox on the PC Game Pass Twitter account a while ago, but people couldn't believe it because Sony own the Death Stranding IP rights and they helped fund development of the game. So everyone's like, ain't no way this is coming to Xbox, right? Well, technically yes, if you don't count the PC as an Xbox, because it turns out that Trixie Kojima managed to negotiate his way to a PC port of the game that has a separate licensing agreement, and Sony don't have any say in where that port turns up. They put out an official statement saying that they had no involvement in this Game Pass deal. So yeah, if you have PC Game Pass, you can now play Death Stranding, an absolute masterpiece that ages like a fine wine as more and more haters are forced to admit that they were wrong. I never get tired of seeing it. Anyway, that is out now. Enjoy yourself, PC peeps. Guys, the feel-good story for the week's segment is no stranger to weird shit that gets the gamer label needlessly slapped on it. Gamer socks, gamer finger sleeves, gamer condoms. But I must say that this newest gamer gimmick takes the cake because at Gamescom, Jeff Keighley revealed the first ever gamer car. That's right, it's a car made for gamers or something. It has a projector so you can drive to abandoned warehouses with your Zoomer friends and get drunk while watching Pokemon cartoons. The car is actually based on Pikachu. They say it's powered by electricity, but I suspect it's powered by the sexual appeal it slowly saps from the person driving it. They say of Porsche, it's too small to get laid in, but you get laid the moment you get out. Or with the Pokemon mini car, it's too small to get laid in, but you were never going to get laid anyway, buddy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was one of the biggest weeks in video games outside of an E3 week. I love these weeks. I love big, juicy reveals, gaming events. I love Destiny, as shameful as it is to admit it. If you enjoyed anything you saw in this video or the D-tier commentary over the top of it, then please can I ask you kindly to smack that like button, slap the subscribe button, and ding that notification bell. We've got that podcast episode live on the channel this weekend, and we've got The Last of Us remake review coming sometime next week, I guess. Man, I am not looking forward to the comment section on that one. Thank you for being an awesome audience as always, and a big thank you to this week's sponsor, SteelSeries. Last time we did a new SteelSeries product launch on the channel, which was for the Arctis Nova Pro headset, we actually sold out SteelSeries' inventory for a short time. That is how well it went. Since then, I've been hearing nothing but praise from people about their purchase. SteelSeries headsets are consistently winning awards, so I'm not surprised to hear that people have been loving them. The Nova Pros were the first cab off the rank in SteelSeries' 2020 lineup of headsets, and now, just 2 days ago, the rest of the range has hit the market, allowing you to experience the absolute best in gaming audio at whatever price point suits you best. The range starts off with the Arctis Nova 1, an extremely versatile piece of kit that will work with PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Switch, or mobile. These have all the style, reliability, and build quality you've come to expect from SteelSeries at a very affordable price. Fantastic for yourself, of course, but also maybe for kids who are perhaps a little less delicate with how they handle their kit. The Nova 3s are the next step up, a USB-connected headset offering a stylish RGB ring, as well as advanced features like an AI-controlled noise-cancelling microphone. The 7 series is where things get serious. This is a wireless headset, but you can also plug it in if you'd like. It supports full 360-degree spatial audio, Bluetooth connectivity, allowing you to take calls while you're playing, 38 hours of battery life, and that same AI-controlled noise-cancelling mic. Plus, these things also work with SteelSeries' Sonar software, allowing you to individually tweak audio parameters, making it easier to hear crucial things like gunfire sounds or footsteps. It's literally an advantage you can hear. And if headsets aren't your thing, then maybe a set of desktop speakers are. Just this week, SteelSeries launched their range of Arena speakers featuring stereo, 2.1 and 5.1 options. I'm rocking the 2.1 setup right now on my desk. They are fantastic, and the build quality on these things are top tier. All of this stuff just launched, literally 2 days ago. Like I said the last time we did one of these shoutouts, the stuff sold out. So if you want to grab it, then be sure to get in quick, and be sure to use offer code SKILLUP at checkout for a 12% discount on your purchase. No strings attached, just a straight 12% off when you use offer code SKILLUP at steelseries.com. That link is below. Give it a click. Thanks SteelSeries for sponsoring the video, and thank you for watching it.